You were there earlier today, looking at the protesters gather in Uptown. Thanks for joining us here. I know you're on deadline, Ryan. But how was the day for you?
Well, I appreciate you having me, Jane. Nightly news should be all wrapped up soon, so in
Oh,
terms of my responsibilities, so no worries at all. I appreciate you having me. We were at this protest earlier today, and I'm pleased to report it was peaceful, it was calm, it was passionate, but no kind of unrest like we've seen in other cities. There was a small law enforcement presence, but to my knowledge, no arrests or anything of the sort was needed. I spoke with a couple protesters there, asking them why they came out, and really the main concern that we heard was we noticed a disconnect between the stated reason for Border Patrol being here and an understanding among the residents here about why they're here. We spoke with Border Patrol or the Department of Homeland Security today, and they told us they're here to ensure public safety, to target violent, criminal, illegal aliens, to use their words. And the protesters we talked to, of course, had no qualms about public safety, but they were worried that, as we have seen on occasion, citizens or non-violent immigrants getting wrapped up in these raids. That was their main concern. We talked to a young woman named Raina. I believe we have some of our interview, if we can play that. Here's a little bit of what she said.
Great. Tell us why you came out here.
To support our community. I mean, immigrants are a part of our community. They always have been.
What do immigrants mean to the community of Charlotte?
I mean, immigrants have built the community of the USA. I mean, we are all from immigrants. We are all descendants of immigrants who came here in the first place. And I think that they are a pillar to our community in the same way that anybody else will be.
What are your concerns with federal immigration agents being here in Charlotte?
I think my concerns are based around what the federal immigration agents are doing. We're not taking criminals out of the street. We're taking regular, upstanding people out of the street that are providing to this community in the same way that other people are.
Have you
and Ryan, she obviously said, we're all immigrants, and appreciate you sharing that soundbite with us. I mean, besides Raina, the makeup of the crowd there, who else felt compelled to show up today?
It was a good group of a mixed crowd. I would say about 200 people or so in that First Ward Park. Certainly didn't fill up the park, but it was a loud and passionate group for those that did show up of all ages, of all races. It was a peaceful protest that elaborated on a lot of the same concerns that we've heard from other parts of the community. We were down on Central Ave in one of the most diverse parts of Charlotte. We visited Manolo's Bakery. I'm sure a lot of people here are familiar, and we talked with the owner, Manolo Betancourt. He was standing guard outside of his shop, which is a staple among that neighborhood, is certainly a staple of the immigrant community here. And he was worried about being a magnet for these Border Patrol agents. He was standing watch outside the front door with a whistle on to warn his employees, his customers, that they were there. They didn't show up while we were there, but he was very anxious about what this presence may mean for his customers. He said he was even considering shutting early in order to not put his employees or his customers at risk.
Yeah, we actually saw on social media maybe an hour ago, James, that he did indeed shut down Manolo's first time in decades. So, yeah, like you said, apparently a lot of immigrants go there and are attracted to that bakery. But outside of that, the situation here, glad to hear that it's been peaceful, at least from your observation. As far as any interactions from CMPD or moving forward, immigrant families, have you been able to talk to immigrant families who are really sharing their concern or fear about what's happening?
I'll go back to the conversations that I had with Manolo. He said that, he's heard a lot of concern from his friends and family. He came here from Colombia 28 years ago. He pulled out his passport, which he's keeping in his pocket today, and said, the Constitution does not say that American citizens have to carry their passport on their person in order to prove their citizenship, but this is what I feel like I have to do as a precaution in case he gets stopped by one of these Border Patrol operations. He was very passionate in his concern for not just his family, even though that he's a citizen, but for other families like him that may be here legally but not citizens, or may be undocumented. And he said, all of his workers are documented, but still he doesn't want them to get swept up in an operation that may implicate them as well. So while we were there, we also saw pastors from a local church who were sitting outside just to offer their support to the customers and the employees. We met migrant advocates handing out cards with legal advice, with a script, what you should say if you are pulled over. So it was a real groundswell of community support. But unfortunately inspired by a lot of concern for neighbors, Jane.
All right. Your major takeaway from today is what?
I think that still remains to be seen, not to cop out, but there's still a lot that we don't know. For example, we have not heard from DHS yet about how many people were arrested today, for what they were arrested, whether they were people with criminal records, whether they were citizens or non-citizens. I think that's going to play out in the coming days, but I'm very interested to see just how impactful these operations were here in Charlotte and how long they last, granted, given that local leaders here don't want them here and they're encouraging them to leave.
Yeah, all eyes on Charlotte, and to see if this was a one-time thing or if this is going to be ongoing. We'll be sure to follow it as well. Ryan, thank you for taking the time. Nightly news, network comes first, so appreciate you joining us here on WCAC.
Nightly news coming up in just about an hour. Jane, appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Take care.